I find it funny that over the last 3 years, we still have little secrets we find with this game. Granted, I think these were added somewhere around Age of Triumph with the heroic story modes, but there are a few lines here with lore implications that sure get me thinking about the possibilities that exist. For instance, this little symbol here, found during a Rise of Iron mission, has the Ishtar Academy logo sitting inside a Clovis Bray facility. And this mission has to do with Siva. Wouldn't know that unless you're looking close. Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly. Today we have a bit of a special report to look into, all thanks to a Redditor by the name of TheAxrat. Axe started to catalog the mission dialogue within the Cade Stash mission, but there was something not quite right about it, especially with the heroic story version. Note, I've tried for months off and on to get a hold of these dialogue lines, so I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to share this Reddit post and these video clips with you guys. Thanks so much again for the opportunity, Axe. As a reminder, of course, these are going to be his video clips, not mine, minus the background footage. You can find the post he made in the description along with his Twitter handle and his YouTube channel. On a small side note, if you do listen to this, Axe, keep helping out with this. This is the kind of involvement we will need come Destiny 2. As for anyone else thinking of getting into helping in the same way, don't forget about Ishtar Collective and the Commons forums that are there. That's easily one of the best places to contribute, since it's where all of the lore masters go for their information. As always, if you guys have theories, ideas, want to contribute to these videos with your own video clips, voice lines, art, whatever it may be, don't hesitate to talk to me on Twitter, Discord, or by email. Best places to reach me by far. I want to get you guys more involved in these projects. Thank you all. Enough prancing around the bush, let's get to the topic at hand. I'm fairly certain these voice lines were added in Age of Triumph, and after a good friend of the community, Mr. Happy Sadass, pointed the first one out to me, I had to know more and find all of these little voice lines. They're populated randomly in the Cade Stash elevator, and some of them in particular have some fun stuff to talk about. Then again, some of them are also dark and awful, and one may serve to answer a 3-year-old mystery about our Guardians. Let's start with this one, since it gets into something hotly debated recently, as per our Guardians.
You know, it's starting to concern me how seldom you talk. We've been through a lot together. The neural symbiosis is pretty far progressed, but you'd be surprised how little I understand what you're thinking.
This one stands to reason that Bungie wanted to explain off why our Guardians don't talk anymore, and I at least give them props for doing so. I think having this kind of dialogue line more out in the open would be a bit more beneficial, especially when Ikora probably looks at us funny anytime we go to talk to her, and our ghost is doing it instead. But all the same, I give Bungie props for trying to put it somewhere. I'm going to deviate just a bit here, but considering how tough voice contracts are to get people re-signed up for, especially when you try to keep the same actors on board, I understand that Bungie just may not have been able to get the same 6 people back in the actors' booths to get the Guardians to voice again. Sure, they could give them different voice actors, but that would delineate the Guardian from one game to the next, especially in cases of the character following you from, say, the first game to the second. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I do again give them props for trying to explain why our ghosts do all the talking for us. Next up, this little bit seems to play a little bit with Failsafe, who we kind of know a little bit more about in Destiny 2.
You know, I've always resented the term artificial intelligence. Who do you think came up with that phrase? A biohuman, no doubt. Intelligence is intelligence. How could anything with intelligence not be real?
What's cool here is how the Ghost takes complete offense to the term artificial intelligence. I'm sure early Ghost owners had thought that's exactly what Ghosts were, or at least somewhat thought of that. But all the same, it's a cute little tieback. In terms of Failsafe, however, I think this might cut back to an interesting little story bit with her later, especially when we've seen bits of D2's map call her the AI of Exodus Black. Or at least we assume that's who they mean. I wonder what Ghost thinks of War Minds and Rasputin then, if that's the case. It sure throws up some ideas of what life is considered to be within Destiny, especially if you take it as far as the Vex, whom are also a larger mind or collective of thoughts. But we talked about that already. Next up is where things get dark, and what could be the origins of our Guardians, or at least by Ghost's thinking.
All these ships here and none of them made it off planet. Supplies were loaded, stasis pods were at full occupancy. The hard part was done. What stopped them? Why didn't they launch?
Why didn't they launch, indeed? You could start to call up quite a few possibilities from this. The darkness was just that widespread around Earth, and there was very little to actually launch from or break out of Earth's atmosphere. Still, we have a few callbacks to this in Grimoire. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday! I keep saying this, but I very much doubt that anyone will listen. The humans are too slow or too dead, and the tyrant, bless his intellect vastly does it surpass my own, is far too busy to comfort one forlorn colony ship and its machine mind. In a way, I feel I've come to speak for the whole world. Isn't that cheering? I rather Mayday, 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 we might shoot our way out of this one. But it looks like that's unlikely. Even the tyrant is exploring other options. I am peaceful by nature. These great matters of eschatology bewilder me. My one love is my ship and the people aboard it. In a fuzzy sense, I suppose I also, Mayday, 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 do, forgive me please, love to dream of the worlds I'll help make, flowers I'll plant, if you'll grant me poetry enough to think of my passengers as seeds. But those dreams have gone. So sad. Now I am packed bulkhead to bulkhead with cold terror, refugees from a nightmare I don't even know how to understand. I wish I could comfort them. I'm trying to be brave, but conditions outside are terrible. I suspect I won't make liftoff. By the time you read this, whoever you might be, I suppose you will know. Exodus Red will be long gone, or rotting at its gantry, me, dead inside. But if you, Mayday, 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 read this, at least something has survived. To you then, brave future soul, from the frightened mind of an old ship, best wishes, and Godspeed. I always get an Iron Giant vibe when I read this card. Here sits this massive hulking colony ship that has all these supplies and humanity aboard, but no one's moving. The AI on this Exodus ship is wondering why it can't lift off or what it needs to do. Rasputin is a very, very calculating machine, and if I have to bet from anything we know of him, cold-hearted as he seems to be, he left some of the ships on the surface to buy time for those that he allowed to go off-world. We don't know how big the force was that attacked us during the collapse, or even what may have really ensued with it, but here we have some proof on what may have happened on why these ships were grounded. It also calls back to Ghost's idea of AI and how it is life. Here it is, a colony ship AI having thoughts of boring worlds with the people it carries to the next planet or area it may go to. All it wanted to do was get off world, but from Rasputin, the intellect it admires, it hears nothing back. One day we might be able to recover you, Exodus Red. What's increasingly darker is what we hear from Ghost next.
I spent months searching every stasis pod in the colony ships for a Guardian. There are exactly 308,235 of them. Every one of them occupied. They are really tough to open.
308,235 stasis pods that Ghost was able to crack open and try to find a Guardian. Well, we know of another pod that's just like that, the end of the level, and inside sits another Guardian.
Pod number 10201. A Guardian with exceptional light sealed himself inside. He's been in there for centuries. Before I found you, I tried to resurrect him, but he preferred to sleep. He said the last war was enough for 1,000 lifetimes.
Obviously, I don't need to go into how this went. The vast majority of those pods were most likely out of power. This meant that those 308,235 people that Ghost looked at were most likely all dead. This assumes that Ghost may have stayed within Russia to search for us. What about all the other colonization efforts around the world? How many more may possibly exist that were left stranded on Earth to possibly play as bait for the others? All of those people promised a way to get off of Earth and possibly live, but instead, they never left the surface. They were left in stasis pods to just simply die. I don't mean to be graphic, but that's the image this paints for me, and it's another image of just how bad the collapse was. Still, one of the most interesting things to come by in these extra lines comes from the last one.
I've always wondered how you fell here. You were probably part of the exodus during the collapse. Millions of refugees trying to get off the planet before it died. Still no memories?
Our ghost talking about why we were in the place we were when he revived us may actually hold some truth. Let's look at where we start out here on the cliff. Of course, all you have to do is look up. Our ghost mentions how we may have fell here from the Exodus boarding. You'll see these large towers all over the place around Russia with spherical shapes on them. Those are the colony ships. We see the exact same build a bit later on, and that's actually where we go for the Cade Stash mission when we see all these pods on the inside. There's at least 4 or 5 of these that are visible, but this one is special. You'll notice it seems to be perched up top on the wall, and it's a little hard to see when inside of the wall, say back in the Divide, to where it's perched. It's not the first one that we see in the Divide because it seems to be elevated a bit higher. This colony ship was the one we were going to get on during the collapse. The gantry is, like most of the others, in general disrepair. The one in question here, however, looks to have been blasted by something. We can also note that the portion of this wall happens to be marked with the Russian Aeronautics logo, which means it's been standing for a very long time and erected before the collapse. This segment was the last funnel for some of humanity to get through, as indicated by all of the cars in a cluster, which then led to an elevator or steps that would allow for those to climb to this colony ship. Could that be Exodus Red? Were we not able to board, but instead were blown off the wall by some blast that sent us flying back down into the chaotic rabble of cars and people trying to climb into the colony ship? It's at least a hint to where we may have been during the collapse. Okay, so there is one more that seems to exist in the voice lines, as some people on Reddit posts by TheAxrat seem to point out, but I can't get it to trigger. Thankfully, it seems to only talk about elevator music, so I figured this would be close enough. I think that'll do. Wow, from a few voice lines, my mind really started to wander there, huh? Well, now I turn it to you guys. What do you think of my assessment of these voice lines? Do you have anything to add? Do you think I'm losing my gourd? If so, joke's on you! I lost that a long time ago. In either case, gang, leave your thoughts in the comments below, as you know I'd love to hear them. Go crazy with this semi-new information that's been hidden from us for a bit, and let's see what we can come up with. If you're not sure what to say, you can always leave the phrase, Guardian Down, to signify why we fell to our first death. If you'd like to hear more lore discussions and topics, weapon overviews and analysis come Destiny 2, or just want to hear my crazy self-talk a bit more, the subscribe button is there for that very purpose, with the bell for notifications. Let me know more of what you guys want to hear with that like or dislike button too, but if nothing else, thank you so much for listening. I can only ever be Beard Grizzly, and I'll see you next FaceTime, Guardians. Take care. I am genuinely excited for Destiny again with little theories like this. Man, I gotta go explore some more.